Well, this is interesting. It's definitely a different angle at talking about how you start to attract your client, right? And the language and the pieces that you use. So now that we've decided, okay, we're gonna balance our life focused on, yes, the pain points. We have to know what is their, buying triggers, but then we can also balance it with, promise and hope and nicer language that's less stressful, right?
Yeah. And I think being really clear on what you offer is a great way to like do that, because when you are clear on what you offer, you know exactly what the benefit is and you know exactly what problems that's going to solve. So, you do have to start with yourself and then think about your client. And I always say good content, good copy, it's like a bridge. Like it's like I understand myself, I understand you, and I'm going to show you how those two come together and we can make
Mm.
something wonderful.
Like it, like it. Okay. So when we're doing that, how do we come up with this kind of language, right? I mean, again, I think if I know me, I know how I'm going to say things, right? But then I have to also move into kind of that persuasive conversation with the potential customer I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, so I would listen. I mean, I would listen to yourself. Like when you, at the beginning of your episode, for example, you did give us a call to action. So, like, we kind of actually have an idea already of how you are going to call people to do something, to take an action step. So, for me, it's going to be a lot different than it is. My calls to action are different than yours for sure. And so I think that's like a lot of my calls to action. I'll just use our two personalities
Sure.
differently. You're pretty direct. You're like, okay, if you want this, go do this, right? And
Right.
you lay out exactly how to do it. I will often incite someone's curiosity. So I'll say, like, if you want to learn more about, or if you're at all interested, or if you want to just poke around on, so I will often use that, and then I'll kind of like lead them to the next step. And sometimes I'll be silly about it. Like sometimes I'll misspell a button and I'll have like their attention will be drawn to the button because it's like misspelled or it's like
Oh, I
two
love
different
that idea.
yeah, so like there's you're all we're all going to persuade according to how our unique voice is. And like
Exactly.
that's why I think like writing, how you write is fantastic. But um not you, I'm just saying us, how we all write is like that's a great way to find your voice. But the best way to find your voice is to listen to yourself again and again and again. Like if it has to be the voice memo app on your phone or whatever, you know what I mean? Like do it that way, or listen to yourself in client phone calls, record your calls and listen to yourself so that you can really start to understand like some of the nuances in the language you use, the tone you use. Like you and I have a different cadence. We speak at
Hmm.
different speeds. So you have like more of like a deliberate pausing and I'm very fast and then I might slow down and then talk very fast again. So you can see when you start to learn those things, it can actually translate into how you write. And then your writing becomes conversational. It just becomes like you're having this conversation with the person on the other side. And that person, when they meet you in real life, they're like, oh, it's the same person. They
Right?
sound just like they do on their website, or they sound just like they do on their podcast. So that's kind of the power of, and I don't want to go too into the weeds because there's like kind of an art and science to it, right? But
No, I love it though, because I've never been able to write formally, but I write the way I talk. So then it kind of comes out like that. But, I'm glad to hear that that's desirable, right?
I think
Because
that's
then
desirable.
it links the two and it doesn't look like, like chat wrote it, or, it was too formal because I'm not formal. I am
Yeah.
direct, but I'm not formal. I love
Well,
it.